Hello, and welcome back to Dark Academia Queen. Today, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite genres. I say hello a lot, but what can I say? I'm a book nerd at heart. I'm also an introverted homebody at heart as well, which explains why I'm talking to a camera. I probably think I'm going crazy at this point. But anyway, if you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Also, please subscribe, help a girl out. But today we're going to be talking about urban gothic. And this is a subgenre of the gothic fiction, which you can go back and watch my episode on. I can't remember what episode number that is, but that's so many. Anyway, but it's also a film horror, gothic fiction, film horror, television dealing with industrial and post-industrial urban society. It was pioneered in the mid-19th century in Britain, Ireland, and the U.S. before being developed in British novels such as Stevenson's Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Yeah, Mr. Hyde cannot talk for some reason. Also in Irish novels such as Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray and the Bram Stoker's Dracula. In the 20th century, urban Gothic influenced in the creation of the subgenres of Southern Gothic and Urban Gothic. From the 1980s, interest in the Urban Gothic revived the book with Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles and a number of graphic novels that grew to dark city landscapes and leading adaptations of the films including Batman, The Crow from Hell, and as well as introducing films like Seven. So, what about the history behind this? Well, let's go back to the 19th century. So, early Gothic fiction tended to use the city as a starting point, and then move to the rural locations, abandoning the settings and securities, and urban civilizations for wild and dangerous rural religion. In the mid 19th century, Gothic novels began either to reverse this process or to conduct entirely on the modern industrial city, which itself became a zone limiting danger and adventure, coming to be referred to as the late 20th century as urban Gothic. Robert Mickle sees the urban Gothic as a genre of rising in London in the mid 19th century, out of the critique of the impact of the industrialization, leading to the discourse of the urban reform that can be seen in a city mystery genre, including the Mysteries of Paris, um, GM, the Mysteries of London, as well as Oliver Twist and Bleak House. Now, these pointed to the juxtapositions of the wealthy order and affluent civilizations, and against the disorder of the barbarity and the poor within the metropolitan. So, Bleak House in particular is credited to seeing the introduction of the urban fog, in which it became a characteristic in urban Gothic and film. So, and this really was developed with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Sorry, now I got the Hellstorm song stuck in my head now. Lovely. Anyway, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde apply a foggy aesthetic to the Gothic trope, doubling as the city, and the often incorporated ideas of the modern influence, science of life and mixture in urban Gothic. By Catherine Spencer described them as a mediating form between science fiction and fantasy. Wait, is Batman Dark Academia? Somebody's gonna argue with me that it's not, but based on this, it is. Sorry. Anyway, Oscar now, whilst the picture of Dorian Gray similarly revisits the concept of the fatigue impact in modern society, Bram Stoker's Dracula presents the eastern fringes of the Europe and Transylvania as a point of origin for the modern provincial and then metropolitan London society in a creature up from folklore. Now, what about the 20th century? So, a dark alley in the French Quarter of New York. So, in the early 20th century, the urban Gothic it was extended to other cities like Paris, such as Gaston Leroux, the Phantom of the Opera from the 20th century Gothic, helped us run the subgenres, including Southern Gothic, using the Southern U.S. as a location. And do we know what the literary hub was? New Orleans, that's right. At one point, New Orleans was a literary hub. Now, since the 1980s, Gothic horror fiction and urban Gothic in particular has revived in genre, with such series as Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles and Poppy V, Bright's Lost Soul, also making New Orleans a key center of Gothic fantasy. Urban Gothic themes and images were also used in comics and Gothic novels, including Frank Miller's Daredevil, Batman, the Sin City series. Wait a minute, so are we saying that anybody who likes superheroes can be into dark academia? I think so. Now, how does this play into the 21st century? Well, in more recent scholarships, critics have identified certain works as new urban Gothic. New novels possess the qualities, and while moving the setting from a more diverse urban spaces, for example, Gina Whisker identifies Sandy Tan's The Black Owl as an example of an urban Gothic set in Singapore. In the novel, Singapore exists as a Gothic city and is haunted by the ghosts of war and colonialism. And the music in the film Youth River uses the Gothic elements to depict the pit city and urban Gothic elements from the Victorian era carry over to the 21st century dystopian novels such as The City in the City by China Miéville. Now, how's it shown in film? Well, they were among the earliest and influential works adapted to cinema and everything. And these films included The Phantom of the Opera, Dracula, Dr. Jekyll, and Mr. Hyde. Sorry, I gotta listen to that song after I get done with this episode now. Now, after World War II, emphasis shifted to the films with more often being drawn to inspiration from the insecurities, utilizing the technology and dividing the three genres of the horror of personality, the horror of Armageddon, and the horror of demonic. However, during the late 1950s and 60s, the British company Hammer Film Productions enjoyed a huge international success in the Technicolor film involving classic Gothic horror characters starring Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, in particular, Dracula. Now, and which resulted in many sequels in the 1970s. In the 1983, Vampire was among the hunger that provide. Alright, guys, that is it. Join me next time as we talk about suburban Gothic, and I'm very excited for that one as well. But I think I might give superheroes a second chance now that I know it actually falls into dark academia. I will see y'all next time.